Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first Non Compos Mentis Podcast. My name is Ralph Penn. If any of you were former fans of the Iron Penn Show, I hosted that. This podcast is called, as I said, Non Compos Mentis, which, if you want to look that up, you can, but I'm not going to tell you for a while. It's going to be a weekly podcast, probably Saturday mornings, which is when this is going to be uploaded. We're also going to be on iTunes as well as YouTube, which is, you're probably watching that on this since we're not going to publish this on iTunes. But it's probably going to be a week or two before we get the first iTunes podcast on. And we're going to have a Facebook page titled Non Compos Mentis Weekly, so that if you want to know when that's going to be on iTunes, I'll be able to tell you on that Facebook page. Normally this podcast is going to run probably around 10 to 15 minutes, but today, since it's just an introduction, it's going to run a little bit shorter. I don't know how long it's going to run, but you already know since you can see the length down there. This podcast is going to have 5 main topics. First one is going to be history. First of all, because I'm a history nut, and second of all, because there's a lot of historical events that shaped not only how we live, but also how we think and run our daily lives, which we're going to talk about later on in the show. That's probably going to be the main category that we're going to talk about. Second is politics, mainly because this presidential election year is one of the most interesting ones in a very long time, and I think it's going to be very interesting to talk about it and discuss it, especially as it gets down to the final 2 candidates who are going to be on the ballot. Third of all, we're going to talk about theological and philosophical principles, because in today's world there are a lot of unanswered questions that are in this category, and we're going to take these apart piece by piece and try to figure out the solutions to these theological and philosophical principles. Fourth is going to be entertainment, just talk about popular culture, music, movies, stuff like that. Sometimes I'll talk about stuff that I'm interested in, maybe even sports. My life, my experiences, that's just going to fall under the entertainment. It's kind of stuff that doesn't fall on the other one. And fifth of all, which is also topics that don't fall in the other 4, is variety, which is we're going to have other people on the show. We're going to interview them, have them talk about, what they want to talk about. Basically, just those 2 are topics that don't fall in the other 3. But those are the 5 main topics: history, politics, theological and philosophical principles, entertainment, and variety, which entertainment and variety are really one and the same. First, just to get an introduction of me, my name is Ralph Penn. Again, I hosted the Iron Penn Show. I've been interested in doing my own radio show, this is just a radio show, but on iTunes, called a podcast, but really it's just a radio show. Since I was like 7 or something, I had my own show called the Ralph Penn Show, and I always like to do that. So this is kind of a great dream come true to me. I thank you for watching this today. Where I come from in what is my worldview? My worldview is I'm a born-again Bible believer, but don't worry, I'm not going to slam my beliefs at you down hard. If I do talk about subjects such as evolution or whatever, we're going to take it apart piece by piece again and logically explain why I believe what I believe, or, whatever we're talking about. We're not just going to slam you with, all this, we believe this. We're going to take things apart piece by piece and explain them to you very carefully, how we get to those certain conclusions and such. Just a note, the audio quality might not be that great. We're experimenting with this because before we've only done visual shows and audio didn't mean as much as it does now with only audio. But you might hear a little ringing in the background. We're going to try to get that fixed. We're going to experiment with different sound editors and microphones through the next couple of weeks. Again, this is going to be a weekly show published on Saturday. Again, we're going to try to get this on iTunes. When we do get this podcast on iTunes, which won't be until at least next week, we're going to tell you on Facebook. And any keyword, if you're searching on YouTube or any other social media, the keyword is going to be NCM Weekly, which stands for Non Compos Mentis, but it's NCM Weekly because it's kind of a weird name. It might be hard for you to find it again, so I'm just letting you know it's NCM Weekly. So in conclusion, again, the shows would normally be longer. The next show is going to be published on YouTube. It's actually going to be a normal length, normal topic show. We're not going to do any specific formation for the topics. We're not going to have one week variety, the other week entertainment in a specific order. We're just going to do whatever, I want to do it that week. And yep, the next show is going to be next week. It's going to be longer, and it's going to be more interesting than just me talking about what the show is going to be. So I thank you for listening to this whole thing, and I'm glad to see you next week. Have a good night.